What's up, guys? Ronin Man here in the middle of Songkran Festival. So you can see the footage here. The footage is, unfortunately, I had to have a plastic bag around my phone, so you can't really see very clearly a lot of the footage, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. I tried to go. I like Songkran Water Festival. It's the Thai New Year. It's getting away the evil spirits, and it's very fun. And you can see there's a lot of dynamics going on in this festival. Yeah, you'll notice that, for example, there's a lot of flirting going on. So girls will shoot water at guys that they think are attractive. Guys will shoot water at girls. A lot of stuff happens. There's a lot of like pent up frustration in any big city. So people let it out here, and it's kind of like it's a good time. Now, keep in mind that Thailand's changing, and there's a lot of foreigners here actually. From other Asian countries mainly. So they are very excited about this festival. Everybody comes here. Some Thais get tired of it, to be honest, because every year you just get soaked. Like it's like you're just soaked like every day, right? You go outside and then someone throws water on you. Your feet are soaked. You can't you can't predict anything today. Like when I leave outside today, it's a war from day to night. Like the minute I walk outside, like my door, some guy yesterday when I left my house, there was a guy with a hose like in my ear. So I couldn't hear anything, like water just filled my ear. I'm like, oh no, this is like the worst way to start the day. My feet were soaked already, and then I went around and had a good time. So there's Songkran footage for you. Hope you enjoy it. All right, I want to talk today, man, about Tiger Woods. I did an episode about him before. I think he's a great example for us to teach us many things. So this is not about golf. This is not about any particular topic. It's like the complexity of his story, his rise, fall, and rise is really great stuff for guys. And teaches, I think the main thing, there's a lot of lessons in here, so I don't want to limit it to one, but I think one of the main lessons is that you can come back. And there's so many lessons. Like if you look at this man's life, another lesson is that no matter how successful you are, no matter how much money you make, no matter how successful you are in mating and girls and dating and health, and you have you have a very good personality and you have a very positive outlook on life. No matter if you have children that are healthy and vibrant, marriage is the one thing. When you lock yourself into marriage, you put yourself at risk, and we really saw this with Tiger Woods. Man, we saw this. And there's things like this in life that you don't think about that much. But like I noticed this when I go home to America, for example, is that when I haven't been outside the States for 30 years, right? So I don't have a car in the States. So I use Uber, Lyft, or whatever. And sometimes when I'm home for a couple months, I'll buy a motorcycle, drive it around and sell it. But what I found is that the minute I own a vehicle and I'm driving in a vehicle, I put myself at risk for confrontation with the police. It's like the police don't care about walking people. It's funny. You don't have any problems. Like the minute you get a freaking car, that's when the police come into your life in America. And it's quite interesting. I noticed that because I come from the outside. But the same with marriage. If you're single, like for example, Tiger Woods, man, I mean, you can listen to my old episode. I think it's quite good. I mean, the guy had everything, right? He had pussy, he had fucking hotties. Like everybody wanted this guy, right? The money and he rose to fame and he won the Masters. He was the youngest guy to win the Masters back in, I think, when was it? It was a long time ago. I don't remember what year it was. I'm going to guess 86. This is not a golf lesson. I love golf, by the way. I think golf is great. I'm going to talk about that in this episode. I think golf is a man's sport. It's not an old man sport. It's a fucking guy's sport. I always have a good time. If you guys want to play golf, I know Timmy out there, Timmy Kramer listens to this. We always talk about golf. And I like a lot of sports. So don't get me wrong. I'm not like stuck. I like pretty much every sport. Horses. I love horses. I love climbing. I love surfing. I love swimming. I love really almost any sport. I used to play croquet when I was a kid. My parents bought a set of croquet when we were little kids at the Salvation Army, because like everybody knows, we grew up in a trailer park, right? So we didn't have a lot of money. So they bought this set, and then me and my brother just played croquet like all the time. And I became incredibly proficient at croquet. So when I get old and retire, I'm going to kick everybody's ass. Because I literally grew up playing croquet. Like, I am absolutely devastating. I will destroy people in croquet. I get excited about any sport. I can get into anything because for me, it's not about the exact sport. It's about the competition. It's about the fun. It's about the interaction. It's about that kind of stuff, right? So either way, golf is one of these things I think is very interesting. I'll just give you a quick take on it. And you saw this in the ninth hole. I forgot what day it was. But if you look at ESPN highlights, you'll see the ninth hole, Tiger Woods. He's sitting there. I don't know how many feet he's got to the hole. And like most people that are, not golfers would look in the hole, they would just shoot. They would hit the ball directly at the hole. But he hits the hole. He hits the ball like completely in the opposite direction and very, very soft. And he kind of goes up the hill and then it rolls back down so slowly. It's a beautiful, beautiful, absolutely masterful shot. It's just, man, it's poetry, really. I mean, it's worth watching the highlights just to see that one shot. Why I think it's such a man's game, golf is because a man's mind is, we evolved throwing rocks, throwing spears, hunting animals. I mean, this is like not controversial. Like, that's what men did, okay? This is not like, let's be tough guys, let's talk about guys this and no, this is reality. I mean, this is what we had to do to survive. We had to get food. Women had to take care of babies. There was no doctors. There was no hospitals. It was serious business back then. And so guys' minds evolved to calculate distance and velocity better than women's minds. So when a man looks at let's say a ball in the air, the reason why golf is interesting for a man's mind is because a man is calculating the wind, like say the wind shear from the side, the height of the ball, the speed, and then there's a million different factors when it comes to how you swing the club. And obviously different clubs and different balls and different materials and grass lengths, rain, mist, dew, all this stuff affects the way the golf ball rolls. But why I think golf is so manly is because it's a combination of everything. A lot of guys today, I talked about this before, but the macho idea in the West does not resonate with me. The tattooed up, muscled up, muscle car, big bumper, huge Ford, letters. Like, to me, large plastic letters are not manly. I don't see that as a manly thing. I like a combination of the Western idea of macho and the Asian idea of macho, which is completely different. Like the Chinese man's idea of macho is very interesting and very subtle. And it's something that I would recommend learning about. I have an episode, I'll see if I can find it. I don't remember what I titled it, but I talked about the two different machos. And that is like, I thought that was a very unique episode. I never heard that before. I kind of put it together myself, and I thought, man, I groove, as a Western guy, I groove with the Asian idea of macho more than the Western one. Like Japanese Yakuza, they use flowers as their symbol, right? Can you imagine, like, American Mafia, like, flowers, like, you know what I mean, or Jamaican Mafia? No way, right? It's a completely different thing. I really like, there's something, a man is a complex thing is what I'm saying. A much more complex than we give credit for. And I think, personally, this is why people like this Ronin man, like the episodes, is because we get into the complexity of stuff. And the comments below are just incredibly enlightening and deep thinkers, like right across the board. And our world summits are fucking insane, right? Which, by the way, planning one in May. I haven't set the dates yet. I'm not sure if it's going to be May. It might be June because it's getting late. I haven't announced it yet. Either way, anybody has any ideas, put in the comment box below. Okay, so why is golf a man's game? Very simple. Is because you're using your strength, okay, but you're using it in a very soft and subtle way. So when you swing when you say, well, it's actually this way with many things. When you're rowing, say a canoe, that is also very manly, because using strength, but also so many other small muscles in balance. And also, like when you hit the ball, it's like you whip it when you're driving, you whip it, right? It's not just like a strength thing. It's like whoosh, And so it's everything from all the motion. It's the calculation. It's the strength, because you do need strength. Like when you get stronger, your golf game generally improves. Okay, not always, because sometimes it doesn't, right? You have to go through a process, right? It's like when you lift weights and you shoot baskets again, or free throws. Often they get worse for a while, and it takes a while for your body to adjust to the new strength that you have. But strength helps. But you'll see a lot of. I remember one of my old girlfriends, Takako. Her dad was a really great golfer, and he was like 74. And man, that guy could outdrive me every single time. He would just nail it, man. There's a sound on the golf ball. It's just such a cool sound when you really nail something. And he would just, every single time, he was like a machine, so consistent. He was a president of a pharmaceutical company and in Japan. And he was just like an amazing golfer, even at his age, a very consistent golfer. And I respect that. So golf and Tiger Woods' shot, the reason why it's so, what I think is masculine, is that it's using his calculation ability. Okay, he's putting, right? So he's not using his strength. He's using his mind. He's using his intelligence. He's using his knowledge of all the different aspects of physics. Because it is about physics. Golf is very much about the rules of physics, the laws of physics. And he uses all of them, and it's like so counterintuitive, his shot. It's so me. I just love that. I love that stuff like that, where a man is using the totality of his body, because he used his strength to get there. Okay, to get to drive and to get to the near the green. But then when push came to shove, it was all about his short game. That's how he won this 5th Masters. It was all about his short game, because he used to drive like 30 yards past other people. When he won his first Masters, he was driving like 30, 40 yards past everybody else. But times have changed, man. Everybody's driving like that now. In fact, he was driving shorter drives than the young guys now at 43 with the 5th Masters. So that's interesting. He was able to ride that beast and hang in there. That's what I love about this story, man. The guy got killed, man. He got married. He just got destroyed. I mean, he was also got a DUI. He had some back problems. He had a spinal fusion surgery. He had all these other physical. And I'll tell you something, back problems, they really hit you in the depression area of your brain, where you feel like there's no hope. And I think my knee is a small version of that, because when you can't walk, when you worry about like being alive, or being able to support yourself, like, it's serious stuff, right? It awakens the death part, the shortness of life, the feeling of helplessness, and all these like deep emotions and fear that you're not going to be able to do this or that. Like, this stuff is like serious shit, man. He went through some serious back problems and had a really a very dangerous surgery, actually, spinal fusion, which brought him back from the brink. I think he had 4 major back surgeries. Yeah, something like that. Really big. But he hung in there. So he goes to the top. He's at the top, right? Very cool. He's there. He's making like millions of dollars. He's the star of everything. He marries the girl, does everything society wants him to do. And then the thing is, this is what people don't appreciate, is they say that Tiger Woods cheated on his wife. But I just think it's dishonest. I don't think, most people don't know anything about girls. And my experience with women is one of the main things I bring to the MGTOW community, to the men's community, because I have a lot of experience, and that taught me some very, very important lessons. And one thing I learned is that guys that don't have temptation, okay, they're not attractive, they don't have girls throwing themselves at them, they don't know how they would react in certain situations, and they assume that they're this kind of guy, but they change when it's actually available to them. And so a guy like Tiger Woods, he's in a different position, right? He's got women throwing themselves at him. Like literally back then, he had women like lining up like a rock star to be with him. And that temptation, that, I wouldn't even say temptation, that opportunity is something that you just, if you've never had that, okay, where women are just lining up for you. And I've had that. I remember one time, it was crazy. I was working in Japan. Literally 4 girls were waiting at the exit for me to take one of them home. And I had to sleep with all of them. Maybe 3 of them. There was like one ahead. And so I grabbed her and I went home with her. And the other ones were bummed out. They knew I was going to go with this other, sleep with her. And I remember that feeling of being in demand, like really wanted. And I mean, not just as a guy, but like for sex. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we were not going on a long date. It was 10 o'clock at night. We're going home to fucking rumble, right? And everybody knew it, and that's what they wanted. I remember when I was confronted with this essentially rock star status. For a few years, I really truly had a rock star status. Okay, there's no question. I probably got more sex than rock stars, because rock stars have a schedule they have to do. I didn't even have a job after. I was just like sitting around with girls, like just endless. Like, I remember I could not get the smell of pussy out of my hands. Like my fingernails, when you like work on oil or whatever, you're fixing cars and stuff and you can't get the oil out of your fingernails. I could not get the pussy smell out of my hands. Like there was always pussy smell in my hand. No matter how much I washed my hands, you could still smell it either on my face, my hands. Like it was just always there. And it was crazy. It was a really crazy time. But so I know the temptation that Tiger had. And I also know that most guys are totally full of it. And it's fine to not know something, but it's not fine to judge guys when you don't know and to not listen. That's what I'm saying. Like, how would you react in a certain situation if you haven't had it happen to you? And especially with women, you do not know how you're going to react. Like, I trust guys who've been through things. Someone like Tiger, I would trust him because he knows who he is. He's had a lot of temptation. He's had a lot of experiences. So if he says, hey, I'm going to do this with women, I'm going to do this, I would trust him. For example, let's say I had a girl I liked. I would trust Tiger to take her somewhere. Let's say I couldn't take her, whatever, she had to go somewhere. She couldn't drive or whatever, the hospital. I would trust him because I would trust his judgment because he has so much temptation and he knows what's going on. And so he would, if he was a good friend of mine, and he would be able to say, you know what, that's fine. I'll take her to the, it's totally fine. I would trust that guy. Whereas a guy that doesn't know, it's like when you're tempted with pussy, it's like a different kind of temptation, man. It's like so different. It's like you think you'd act a certain way. It's not necessarily so, man. I mean, it's so easy to judge guys like Tiger. So easy to judge guys like Tiger. But I mean, there's part of me that says guys don't almost have any control. Like most guys just don't, they're just unable to say no when the pussy's really offered to them. Now, a lot of times guys think it's being offered, but it's not really being offered. There's a difference when a girl is like really offering it. Like you can't fuck up. Like she's giving it to you. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's like, damn, that is dangerous. And so Tiger was presented with this. And in the old days, like, let's face it, in the old days, okay, Egypt or whatever, you look at the pharaohs and everything. I mean, he would have had a harem. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, today's modern society takes a guy like Tiger and doesn't know what to do with him. They put him into this contract that is basically a middle class man's. It's most middle class guys. A lot of middle class guys, a marriage contract is actually benefit to them. The reason why is because they get to lock in one girl, whereas they're not that attractive, right? And some girls actually do stay with the guys, right? Some guys benefit from the marriage contract. Some lower level guys who don't have as much going on, they might get a girl with a high, whatever. She's got like a moral standards and she doesn't cheat on him, right? That could be a benefit to a guy. Now, a lot of guys on the channel, that wasn't their experience. But I mean, look at it numerically, right? If you're looking at it big data wise, yes, some guys benefit from the marriage contract. A lot of guys don't, either because the contract's not kept, not held, there's no meaning to it, or someone like Tiger where a marriage contract doesn't really fit for a guy who's got, you know what I mean? Like a guy who's got thousands of women or even tens of thousands, hundreds throwing themselves at him. It doesn't, the marriage contract is just like, if he would have just stayed single, he would have been a hero. He didn't do anything wrong. He's a guy in demand all the time, like every day. His phone is fucking ringing off the hook. Girls waiting outside. Girls flashing him from the balcony. I mean, he's getting emails and letters and presents and, you know, I mean, it's total madness what they're offering him. These guys never open up to what the girls are saying to them. But I mean, it's pretty explicit, guys. When girls really want something, I'll tell you one thing I like about girls actually is they're very straightforward. I think guys have more sometimes, and tell me what you think, some guys are more shy than women. And guys will be like, you know, they can't say the word pussy or they can't say cock or whatever, you know what I mean? Like women, I tell you, man, when they want something, it's been my experience that they will go direct. They will go direct, man. And it's like, okay, you all right? I understand what's going on here. This one's clear. You know, and it's like, I don't know. Maybe they're doing it because they think guys' brains are like that, or I don't know. But either way, the people that were reaching out to him, the women, it was some pretty outrageous temptation, okay? Guaranteed. Absolutely guaranteed. And it was temptation that, you know, moreover, is like natural. It's natural for him to do it. And women also know this, okay? Women that choose a man like Tiger can talk everything they want about, you know, oh, he cheated on me. But the reality is they know. Like, women know. When they choose a man who's in demand to have thousands of girls or hundreds of thousands of fans trying to sleep with them in every continent, they know, man. They know they're choosing that. That's the life they chose. Now, of course, once you get it, then you want everything, right? And this is so common with women. It's like you say, okay, I want this guy who's super in demand, but I don't want him to ever do this or that or this or that, right? It's like choosing a super, super hot girl, right? She's like 18. She's smoking hot. She's right in her fucking time when she's going to be like, guys are like, you know, she has opportunities. Evolutionary-wise, she is pushed to be hypergamous, right? And for a guy to say, oh, you're going to be loyal to me. You're never going to do anything. You're never going to even do anything with any other guy. You're just going to be my girl because it says in this book or it says in that book or because you promised. But then the reality of her body is like totally different. And her time in her life and the fire of her, you know, of the period of her life, right? It's impossible. You cannot expect that from her. It's just stupid. Like, it's just never going to happen. She still needs to go out and find out things and to figure out if you're the best guy for her. She has things to learn, man. You know, it's like, you know, your teacher, right? Your teacher teaches you something in school, but then you have to leave him and you have to go out into the world and you have to meld his information with the new information that's always coming out, applications and programming and artificial, you know, your teacher might have taught you the basics, but now things have moved on and they move forward, and your job as a student is to keep moving forward, is to take that basic knowledge of physics or whatever you're studying, sales ability, and then to integrate that into the way things work today, right? And that's a natural thing. You're growing on, and there's a period where you finally accept this is what I'm going to do, right? And you make a decision. I'm going to be a doctor. You take a job in a hospital, and then you try to improve yourself, but you've kind of like narrowed a million billion options down to one, and that's a difficult thing. That's a difficult thing to do, and women also have to do that. And the women's minds are very different than guys' minds. It's not an easy thing for them. But once they've decided, right? But the thing is, guys don't expect the impossible from girls. It's impossible. Like, there's no way. It's just not going to happen, right? And same with Tiger Woods. Like, and women are very, very realistic about men and sex. I mean, really. That woman, Ella Lundgren, whatever her name was, Lundgren, she knew, okay? She fucking knew this guy was going to cheat. I mean, if she didn't know, if there's a problem, there is a problem if she did not know that Tiger was going to sleep with other girls. Like, seriously, there's a problem there, because that's a very, very unrealistic expectation. I mean, this guy was young. He was the youngest winner of the Masters. I mean, it was, come on, man. It's like everybody knew. Now, after he did it, she's going to hammer in. She's going to use the legal system. She's going to pretend like she didn't know. She's not going to tell the truth about the true stories that happened in the meantime. And like, you know, I can tell you from a guy who did have women throw themselves at him for years, I can tell you that there's probably a lot of situations where Tiger was pretty cool. Like he had a lot, believe me, this guy has a lot of temptation even today. And he turned it down, like most of it, right? You know, I remember Clinton slept with like a few women, right? I don't even know if he really had sex with them, but he had like a few women, right? People were saying he's like a womanizer. I was like, I was like on a rampage at the time. And I remember thinking, this guy barely did anything. Like he's basically like straight on, right? You know, when a man has these, you guys don't know, man. It's like society doesn't want to know. When a guy is built to spread his seed. And when he gets the opportunity to do it with hot young women from everywhere who are not expecting anything, I mean, just like the endless fun and it's just, you know, it's just fucking, there's no way. I mean, until he gets bored of it, you know, like that's what happened to me. I finally like realized like I had kind of done everything I wanted to do. And once you reach that point, here's what a lot of guys don't understand. A guy like Tiger, once he's reached that point where, you know what I mean? He's done it all. It's kind of like chocolate cake. You know, you want chocolate cake so bad. Then you get a piece of chocolate cake, then you get another piece, another piece, another piece. Finally, you hate chocolate cake. You're like, give no more chocolate cake, right? Or vodka, right? Or whatever it is, you finally like get to the point where you're like, see vodka, you don't want it. Women, it takes a lot longer. Hot women offering up their bodies is something that's very difficult. It takes a lot more for a guy to get tired of it. But I can tell you, there's a point in your life as a guy, and people often ask me, why aren't you out being with other girls? Because it's difficult to understand, but there's a point where it's not like you're tired of it. It's not like you don't see the benefit in everything that you learned or whatever, or you don't see the benefit in other people or like the girls, like being friendly, and like there's benefit to that, right? But it's just like you've kind of been there and done that or something. I don't know. It's like you want something new. You want something, you know every aspect of doing this, right? I've seen every kind of boob. I've seen every kind of pussy. I've seen, you know what I mean? I've done every basic thing you can do, including several girls at once. And, you know, like you just get to the point where you're like, okay, I've done all that. And a lot of guys, they've never done that. And that's what drives them, is that there's like the fantasy and there's the wanting. It's kind of like wealthy, very, very wealthy people. When they get very, very wealthy, they go to like Louis Vuitton, they buy everything. They go to like Chanel, they buy everything. They buy everything, buy everything. And finally there's a point where they realize like it's kind of like all meaningless, or it's not what they thought. Okay, it's different. But like most people never find that out because they always are wanting, right? They're always like not quite there, right? They always want more. Humans always want a little more. But once you get it, it's not like you're tired of it, but it's like you kind of see through it, or you see new complexities of life. It's almost like maybe it's like a helicopter where you kind of go up higher and you see more, right? Or like a Google map where you're like maybe you're kind of zooming out, right? You're seeing, where's the river? Where's the city, right? Where does it fit on the globe, right? And you see things just a little differently, and that's a natural thing. But so here's Tiger going through all this shit, and, you know, the iron fucking glove comes down, the iron fist, boom, you know, Tiger's a bad guy. He's a bad man. He's a evil man. He's a cheater. He's a, you know, society just came down on Tiger, man. It's like the higher you go, the more they take you down, the more vitriol. And there's jealous men out there. There's people like waiting for the chance of him to fall. There's all kinds of guys who are like, you know, whether his rivals or just people that are watching him, and it's just like they love their relish. There's a lot of people, and if you have this, and we all have this at some level, human emotions are ubiquitous, right? We all have them, but you have to watch yourself on this stuff, like the kind of like really enjoying other people's downfall. I think I'm not a big fan of it. I think it's a good thing to keep that one in check and realize that guys like Tiger Woods are fucking awesome. I mean, you're glad they're there. They're out there doing stuff, teaching you stuff, showing you things. Imagine if there was no Tiger Woods in the world. There was no guys who had done things you hadn't done. Nobody to teach you what you know what I mean? Like to guide you, to give you a perspective, right? It's these guys are like almost like pioneers. You know, they go out there, they do things, and they bring back like the hero's journey, right? They bring back the wisdom that they gained from their journey, from their saga, right? From their challenge. And so guys like this, so here's Tiger, so he's got the back surgery, he's got society hates him, he had the DUI, I think his back problem was related to the women, because it all fell apart. Like, when you're feeling good, when you're feeling confident, your health doesn't bother you. Like right now, I feel fucking great. My knee, I'm not even thinking about it. I can't wait to get out there. I'm going to lift weights today. I'm going to go see Deepak. I'm going to my friend, we're going to go out and just fucking destroy people in the water wars. The Stone Cramp water wars going on. We're going military today. But it's fun, right? It's great. So back to Tiger. This guy was at the lowest point of his life. He came back. He kept going. He lost. It was the longest drought in Masters history between championships. I think it was 14 years. 14 years. He was like crap. 14 years. From being on the very top. Imagine that. It's like Michael Jordan just can't even make a free throw for 14 years, you know? And then finally he comes back, world's greatest, wins the Masters. I mean, it's a great story. It is a great story. And he won it. He won it with different things. That's the thing. That's what really is cool, guys. Is like, I know when I was younger, right, I got in great shape, and I figured out a great way to get in great shape, right, which was wind sprints, right? I did wind sprints that I learned from the Russian gold medal winners. It's a certain way of doing it. You just get ripped as fuck, and you get very, very fast. And I was doing them religiously while I was lifting weights, and I was in killer shape. But when I hurt my knee, then I had to change the way that I got in shape. So I got in just as good shape, not quite as good lung shape, but like physically, as muscles, flexibility, and all that stuff. When I'm older, when I'm 54, like now, I'm in great shape. But I did it without being able to run. Okay, that was a big deal, because it sounds simple, but it's not simple. I can't do like the running machine. I can't do I can't even do the CrossFit stuff. I can't do a lot of things because of my knee. I got to be very careful with my knee. So I had to find a whole new way of getting in shape. It was fucking hard, man. That's when I took up yoga. That's when I switched over to high intensity training. I did a lot of things, and together, I mean, it was much easier before. Before it was just like wind sprints. And I was ripped. 5-minute miles, I could run like a million of them in a row. And it was all wind sprints. But that was taken away. So I think this is the beauty in life as a man, is as you get older, things are taken away from you. The key is, can you handle it? Can you go through it? And then can you, when the tools are no longer there that used to work, can you find a new way to get the same goal done, or whatever the goal is? Can you find a way to get it done without having all the easy ways? All the easy ways are gone now. Now you have to go a whole new way. You have to change your mind. You have to find new things. You have to try new things. You have to change your self-concept, right? You have to mourn the loss of those other things. Because I'm telling you, I fucking love wind sprints, man. This is one of the saddest things. If I ever get a new knee or something and I can wind sprint again, you're going to see me fucking wind sprinting all the time. It was one of the best feelings of my whole life. It wasn't just getting in shape. Like, I loved it. It was awesome. Like the chemicals that go through my body when I wind sprint. And I'm fast too. I became very, very fast. I became a very, very fast runner. And I could also a swimmer. But I remember we were playing ultimate frisbee, and they're in Tokyo, and there was these two guys from Africa, and they were faster than everybody else in the tournament, and they would run, and they basically would wing the frisbee out in front of everybody, and they would just run out there and get the frisbee. And I was the one guy who was right with them, and they hated me. These two guys, they really, these two guys, they absolutely despised me. I got to tell you, because I would be there like knocking the thing out of their hands. I was right there with them, and these guys were fast, man. They were fucking fast. I don't know what their background was, but these guys could run, man. And I was right there with them, pissing them off, grabbing catches. Not every time, because no matter how fast I ran, they often had just a little lead on me, like say a couple of inches, which is enough for your hand to grab the frisbee or not grab the frisbee. But I beat them enough that I had massive respect for these guys, and I was trouble. I was big time trouble. I was big time trouble because what they would do is that, the strategy was they would just take the frisbee, because I was doing wind sprints, right? And they would take the frisbee and just basically throw it like randomly past everybody else. And then those two guys, they would just run out there and catch it. It was so easy for them because they didn't even have a defender on them. Now with me, I was right there. And so they're like, shit, I got a fucking defender like all over me the whole way out there. And it was like trouble, right? Now that was because of wind sprints. And it was like really effective. But now that I can't do those, how do I mentally overcome that? How do I figure out a way to get, because just doing wind sprints and getting into like almost Olympic shape is a feat in itself. But how do you do it the second time? I did that when I say Olympic shape, I was with swimming, the 50 meter. I was in insane shape when I was 30 years old. But when I lost the running, when I lost the sprinting, right? How do you do it the second time? Tiger Woods, how did he do it when he lost the drives? He was not driving 23 meters past everybody else. He was now driving less than other guys, and he had to use his brains, his intelligence, and also his brawn too, because let's face it, I mean, driving like up there with the world-class guys, I mean, like they might drive a couple meters more than you, but you're driving world-class, man. You're driving world-class drives, right? And he was. So I don't want to take anything away from his fitness at 43 and his ability at 43 to drive, because he definitely was there. But then he won the game in the short game. His short game is what won. And that's often, as you get older, your short game is what's going to win. It's when you're young, you're very full of piss and vinegar, you're going to be like strong, but when you get older, you have to like use your brain, you have to calculate, and then you can win. And I think a lot of guys, younger guys listening to this right now, would think, oh, that's because you don't have any other way to go, blah, 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 or some kind of negative thing. The thing is, man, is what you realize when you get older is you realize that it's all part of you as a man. It's all part of you. Everything. The ability, the finesse, the beauty, the majestic balance that a man has when he's playing sports, the strength, the velocity, the timing, the ability to integrate the environment with his, whole body movement, and along with the materials of the particular tool that he's using. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful dance. Women are always portrayed as elegant, always portrayed as beautiful, and this is just really like overdone in modern society, because men are very beautiful. And when men do movements and running and throwing and these and the combination of what it takes to be world class, it is a beautiful fucking thing. It is majestic, man. It is like if you can't appreciate that, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like people are so worried about someone thinking they're fucking gay or something that they can't appreciate the beautiful world we live in, right? When I see a guy do something, I'm like, wow. I try to appreciate the wholeness of it, right? And that's what I did with Tiger. I was like, man, that guy, holy shit, that guy came back, because it's different when you're on top and you come down. It's different than if you're just coming up. It's much harder on your fucking self-esteem, people's trust in you, your sponsor. I mean, everything changes when you go to the top and then you get knocked down. He was rated like 1,199th or something in the world a couple of years ago. I mean, he was down there in the fucking bottom, right? Just losing. He was so bad that he couldn't even like sit in a golf cart at one point because his back was so much pain. He couldn't putt with his son in the backyard. I mean, he really did go through a lot of shit. And then he came out and he wins the 5th Masters, and he's going for more. He's like on a rampage, right? Who knows what he's going to get? There's other big tournaments that we'll see if he continues his winning streak. But whether he does or not, It's a great thing. Guys, you too, no matter how low you are, no matter what happens to you, if you're alive, your ears are working, you can come back. Don't ever fucking doubt it. The only time you can't come back is when you're dead. And until you're dead, there's a way to come back. Okay? It might not be the same thing that you did before. It might not be the same way. But you come back and you know what you did. And it will bring electricity in your veins. So never give up, guys. And I'm dead serious about that. Never give up. When you're dead, you can give up. But until then, until the last fucking breath, never fucking give up. All right, guys, thanks for listening, and I am going to slam the weights out. Get out the zone cram. Can't wait. All right, you guys, have a good one, and let me know if May is good for a conference in Thailand, or if that's too early, if it's too fast. I can't, obviously, one person can't determine the dates, but I definitely will look at the comments and any emails I get at roninmingtao@gmail.com. All right, guys, have a good one.